Yes, you're absolutely right. Back in 2018, Amazon had about 50% of the e-commerce market in the US. It now has about a third of the market because the big players are all making their e-commerce plays, of course, people like Walmart and Kroger, but also things like Shopify have allowed smaller merchants to go online because, it was often the only way they could trade. And Shopify saw almost 100% increase in their the gross merchandise value across their platform. And it's a lot, it allows a retailer to really be much more in control of their store without all the competition that you might be facing on the Amazon marketplace. So I think there are headwinds on that e-commerce side of things because of those big players and also these new platforms that are allowing even smaller brands to go and engage customers online. And of course, people like Nike and L'Oreal want to go direct to consumer. They want to keep that intimacy with the customer. So Nike left the Amazon platform a couple of years ago. They now have about 40% of their sales direct to consumer, and about 30% of that is driven by e-com. So, you're absolutely right to say market share is something that they should have an eye on.
Jad, I think it was interesting too that they moved their big promotional day, and there's been huge headlines, of course, around Prime Day shopping and extravaganza as we see these huge amounts of money that are spent on the platform every year. They've moved that date from July to June. What's the significance of that? Because we know promotional windows are quite key.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they place it as an experiment, right? And this is something Amazon do. They experiment and they place some big bets. And you can see with the Olympics that were meant to happen, they were worried about that sort of getting in the way. And this is going to be another experiment. We don't really know what's going to happen, right? We're living in a world of uncertainty at the moment. But what I do imagine, a thought in the back of their minds could have been that actually as vaccinations roll out, as people head back out into those stores, maybe Prime Day later in the year, when a lot of those stores could be open and competing, would make less money than having Prime Day a bit earlier on, while the vaccine rollouts are still going on and consumer confidence in going to stores still hasn't built to pre-pandemic levels.
Jack, very interesting. I have the delight when I drive in every morning of driving through Croydon, of all places, and there's a lot of retail and industrial going on in the aforementioned beautiful southern town of Croydon. But I drive past and I see the debris that was once the John Lewis, which is closed now, but I see an Adidas store opening up. Now, with that in mind, you mentioned Nike as well. Bricks and mortar. How serious are the big players about bricks and mortar's future, including Amazon, because there are all kinds of experiments going on from Amazon on bricks and mortar?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Amazon opened in London, in East London, their hair salon just the other week. So they are absolutely looking at experiential retail, because what they're kind of realizing is that, as a utility, they're brilliant. Right, but being something that's socially significant, like Adidas is, like Nike is, that's something that's able to sell products at higher margins, you require more experience to kind of deliver that. You require a more totality of the brand. That's why Apple has Apple stores, right? So there is still going to be bricks and mortar around. I think as retailers have to rationalize their cost base, there will undoubtedly be less of it. It will be used differently, more experiential, also more as a fulfillment center. As one of the things that's really going to drive a lot of change in retail is working from home, right? We're seeing that almost 70% of people are sort of saying, they've got new habits now that are going to last post-pandemic, working from home for about a quarter of them. So you can see that actually local high streets, etc., do have an opportunity, and those bricks and mortar places do have an opportunity when this change happens to go and do something. And my own experience with retailers at the moment is telling me that they're ready to do that. Right? The pandemic has kind of forced the C-suite to stop kicking the can down the road and actually face up to the fact that they've got to deliver new value in new ways, look at their cost bases, bring in more technology, more supply chain, and work with partners more. And so we're seeing a lot of activity, and they've had a lot of confidence as well, because they've had to change so quickly recently in a way that they never actually believed they could before. So there's a lot of opportunity sitting right in front of those bricks and mortar retailers at the moment.